There were two coffee mugs in the sink, one with lipstick, one without, and neither of them were mine. I had landed an hour earlier than expected. No delays, no texts, I just showed up. I wanted to surprise her. I thought it'd be romantic. Maybe she'd cry, maybe we'd laugh, maybe she'd jump into my arms like the endings of those sappy dramas she used to make me sit through. Instead, I walked into a house that felt lived in by someone else. I set my suitcase down and stood in the hallway, just listening. No TV, no music, but something felt loud. The silence was wrong. There was a strange pattern in the hallway rug. Bare footprints, just slightly damp, still fresh. I followed them. One set went toward the back door. The other? They vanished by the wall. And that's when I saw it. The bookcase. The heavy antique one. Except now it sat 2 inches further out from the wall than it used to. There was dust around its base, except right behind it. That spot was clean, recently touched. I pressed my hand to the wall beside it. Hollow. But it gets worse. I walked into the guest room, the one we never used, and the closet door was cracked open. Inside, on the floor, was a pair of unfamiliar sneakers and a gray hoodie with the sleeves rolled tight, like someone had worn it and peeled it off in a hurry. And then there was Muttley, my dog, hiding under the bed. He hadn't done that since fireworks night 2 years ago. I knelt. Hey buddy, it's me. He didn't move, just trembled. That's when my phone buzzed. A message from my wife. One word. Don't. I hadn't texted her. I hadn't said a thing. But she knew I was home, and she knew I was close to finding something. I didn't respond to her message. I just stood there, phone in hand, staring at that one word, don't. What was I not supposed to do? Speak? Move? Breathe? I hadn't even been home 10 minutes, and my wife was already issuing cryptic warnings like I was about to detonate something. And maybe I was. The air in the hallway felt heavy now. Not just quiet, charged, like the walls themselves were holding a breath. My eyes darted back to that bookshelf. It was subtle, but now I couldn't unsee it. The shifted angle, the clean gap, the sense that this house was holding something back. I gripped the side of the shelf and pulled. It moved easier than I expected. No creaking, no resistance, almost like it wanted to be found. Behind it wasn't a wall, but a narrow passageway. A corridor I swear didn't exist when we moved in. Bare wood on the floor, no paint on the walls, just raw boards and a cold draft that touched the back of my neck like a warning. And then, something surreal happened. My phone buzzed again, but it wasn't from Mara. It was from a number I didn't recognize. Just coordinates. That's it. A set of GPS coordinates, dropped into my inbox like a breadcrumb. I copied them without thinking. Google Maps opened, and my blood chilled. The location was my house. Not just the house, but a specific section of it. Directly beneath me. A basement? No, we didn't have a basement. The house had been inspected. The plans were clear. But these coordinates pointed to an area between the foundation and the old wine cellar we never used. An in-between space. One that shouldn't exist. That's when I heard the click. Upstairs. Faint. Like a lock being turned. I froze. Waited. Listened. Nothing. Then, slow footsteps. 2, maybe 3, moving across the bedroom floor. Deliberate. Unhurried. Whoever it was, they weren't trying to hide. They were letting me know they were up there. And I wasn't supposed to be down here. I backed out of the corridor, shoved the bookcase shut, and pressed my ear to the wood. No sound. No footsteps now. Just my heartbeat smashing into my ribs. I didn't go upstairs. I went out the back door, circled around, and sat in my car across the street, watching my own house. Windows dark. No movement. But someone was inside. And it wasn't me. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my car with the seat tilted back, staring at the window of our bedroom. The curtains never moved. No lights came on. But just before 3 a.m., something finally happened. A silhouette walked past the window. Not Mara's. It was broader, taller, male. It paused for a beat, then vanished behind the drapes. I didn't even know how to process that. My wife had sent me a message warning me not to do something. Then another man walked across the bedroom we used to share. And the worst part? I still hadn't confronted her. I had no idea what to say. Hey, I found a secret hallway and someone else is in our house. Sounds like the start of a breakdown, not a conversation. Around 6 a.m., I drove away. Not far, just to the diner we used to go to on Sundays. I didn't eat. I stared at my coffee until it went cold. Then I made a decision. I was going back in, but not through the front door. I took the long way, walking around the block twice to make sure no one was watching. I hopped the fence at the back of our property, came through the side garden, and slid in through the cellar entrance behind the shed. The hinges whined a little, but it was still early. Quiet. The wine cellar was untouched. Dusty. Abandoned. Same as always. But the wall on the far end? Not the same. There was a crack in the stonework, about shoulder height. And when I touched it, it moved. A panel, hidden behind old brick wallpaper. And behind that, stairs. A second staircase. Not the one I found behind the bookshelf. This one was rougher. Wooden, unfinished. The kind of stairs built by someone who never meant for them to be seen. I pulled out my phone, turned on the flashlight, and stepped down. The smell hit me first. Something sterile, like rubbing alcohol and burnt hair. Then came the sounds, faint, mechanical humming, like a ventilation fan behind drywall. And then voices. Muffled. A woman's voice. Laughing. I know Mara's laugh. I know it the way I know my own name. But this wasn't the one I remembered. It was louder, more unfiltered. The laugh you save for someone who really knows you. That's what broke me. It wasn't just that she was cheating. It was that she had a whole personality I'd never seen. A version of herself that she never showed me. One that lived in hidden rooms and sent warning texts and laughed with strangers while I was thousands of miles away pretending we had something real. I was still gripping my phone when a loud click echoed through the tunnel. The light above me shut off. And in that moment, I realized I wasn't alone anymore. When the light snapped off above me, I froze mid-step. My phone was still in my hand, but for a second, I couldn't remember how to move my thumb. I just stood there, in the dark, heart pounding, feeling the heat of my own breath bounce off the stone walls. I finally forced myself to turn the flashlight back on, a pale, narrow beam barely cutting through the pitch. The tunnel around me looked the same. The wooden stairs behind me, the concrete floor ahead, the faint smell of something chemical and burnt still lingered in the air. But the voices had stopped, and I couldn't shake the feeling that someone, somewhere in that hidden space, had just flipped the switch on purpose. I kept going. I shouldn't have, but I did. The corridor turned left and then right, narrowing slightly until I came to a heavy black door with no handle. Just a simple keypad beside it. My first instinct was to back out, to leave, to pretend none of this existed. But something told me that if I walked away now, I'd never learn the truth. And that would haunt me worse than anything behind the door. Then I noticed something. Below the keypad, faint scratch marks. Like someone had tried to wedge it open once with a screwdriver and failed. But above the pad, just beneath the frame, was a tiny camera. I stared into it for maybe 2 seconds before hearing another click. This time, not a light. The door unlocked. No alarm. No voice. Just a soft thunk and the shift of metal sliding free. I opened it. Inside was a room that didn't belong in our house. Or in any house, really. It was sleek. Black walls. No windows. A long velvet couch against one side. A mounted camera on a tripod. Bright ring lights. Perfectly angled toward a bed I had never seen before. And sitting at a desk on the far side, wearing headphones and humming softly to herself, was Mara. She didn't see me at first. She was watching something on her screen, something I couldn't make out until I got closer. Then I saw it. It was a live stream. Of herself. From this room. She was watching a replay of herself laughing, talking to someone off camera, flirting, biting her lip, saying things I never imagined her capable of saying. She looked so comfortable in that skin. Like this wasn't some fantasy, this was her real life. And I had been the one on the outside all along. I took one step forward. The floor creaked. She turned. And for the first time since I met her, Mara looked terrified to see me. Not guilty. Not surprised. Terrified. She stood up so fast the chair tipped over behind her, crashing into the floor like a gunshot. I didn't flinch. I just stood in the doorway, half lit by the ring lights still glowing, and waited. I wanted her to speak first. I needed to hear what version of reality she was going to sell me. But Mara didn't ask how I found the room. She didn't ask how long I'd been watching. She didn't even ask if I'd seen the video. She only said one thing. You weren't supposed to be back yet. That sentence punched harder than any accusation. It wasn't even defensive, it was logistical. Like I had ruined a plan she hadn't finished executing. Like my existence was the problem, not the secret room. Not the live streams. Not the man I had seen walking across our bedroom. What is this? I finally managed to say, though my voice cracked like I hadn't spoken in days. Her mouth opened, But she hesitated. Not because she was trying to think of a lie, but because she didn't want to tell the truth. It's work, she said quietly. It's not what you think. Which was absurd, because what I was thinking was already insane. That my wife had built a secret studio under our house while I was overseas. That she was broadcasting herself to strangers online. That someone else had been living in my home, sleeping in my bed, petting my dog. You built a fake life, I whispered. You let me leave so you could, what? Become someone else? Her face twisted. Not in guilt, but frustration. No, Ellis. I became myself. That hurt more than anything. She said it with conviction, like I had been the costume all along. The normal dinners, the anniversary trips, the quiet nights. That was the lie. This, the underground studio, the alternate identity, the secret keypad door, this was the truth. I asked her who else knew. She didn't answer. I asked her how long this had been going on. She turned away, and when I tried to step inside, she blocked me, not with force, but with her presence. That subtle threat that said, if you come further, you'll see more than you can ever forget. Then something buzzed. She glanced at her phone. A message popped up on her screen. One I wasn't supposed to see. He's early. Handle it. My blood ran cold. Who sent that? I asked, already knowing she wouldn't answer. Mara stepped aside. Just barely. You need to leave, Ellis. It wasn't a request. It was an order. I didn't leave. I stood in the doorway with my hand braced against the frame like it was the only thing keeping me upright. Mara wouldn't look at me now. Her eyes were fixed on the phone screen, the message still glowing like a warning neither of us could unsee. He's early. Handle it. That meant someone else knew I was home. Someone had been tracking me, and that someone wasn't her. I asked again, more firmly this time. Who sent that? She finally looked at me, and for the first time since I met her, she looked like a stranger. Her mouth opened, then shut. I could see it, the war inside her. Part of her wanted to protect me. The other part? It had already moved on. Past me. He doesn't know about you, she said quietly. Not really. I never told him my real name. He doesn't know we're married. I blinked. Who doesn't know? She took a breath. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Levon. That name meant nothing to me. No face. No memory. But when she said it, her voice softened, just slightly. Like she was saying the name of someone she was used to waking up next to. Not just some guy. The guy. And I knew right then. Whoever Levon was, he'd been living my life while I was gone. I stepped forward again. She didn't stop me this time. I walked past the desk, past the camera setup, and reached for the drawer beside the bed. It slid open smoothly. Inside, a passport. Not mine. Not hers. A whole different identity. Mara's photo, but a different last name. Different birth year. She was 4 years younger on this one. According to this, she wasn't even American. She was Serbian. None of this is real, I muttered. It is, she said behind me. Just not for you. That's when the sound came. A short, rhythmic knock from upstairs. 3 knocks, pause. 2 knocks, pause. My blood froze. It was a pattern. Not someone asking to come in. Someone signaling. Someone with a routine. Mara's expression changed instantly. Panic. She turned to me and said, you need to get back upstairs. Right now? If he sees you down here, everything falls apart. I laughed. I couldn't help it. Falls apart. What do you think this is, Mara? A TV show? You're living in a movie down here. You built a second life under our house while I was in another country. She stepped forward, lowered her voice. Her face was inches from mine now. No, Ellis. You built the first life. I just stepped out of it. The knocking came again. Louder. Closer. And then, a key turned in the lock upstairs. The sound of the key turning upstairs was somehow louder than it should have been. Like the house wanted me to hear it. Like it had been waiting for this moment the whole time. Mara's face shifted from panic to something else, something colder. She glanced at me once, almost with pity, then walked over to the wall and pressed a hidden panel I hadn't noticed before. The studio lights dimmed instantly, and a sliding door in the far corner opened, revealing another narrow passage. You have 30 seconds, she said, not pleading. Just stating. If he sees you, I can't control what happens next. I didn't move. My whole body felt rooted to the floor. You're protecting him now? I'm protecting both of you, she snapped. You don't know who he is. You don't know what he's capable of. And that was the moment I understood something I hadn't allowed myself to believe until now. She was afraid of this man. Not just emotionally, physically, and maybe not just for herself. I stepped into the passage. I don't know why I obeyed her. Maybe because I needed to see more. Maybe because part of me still couldn't believe what was happening. I backed into the narrow hallway and pulled the door shut just as I heard the front door open upstairs. Muffled footsteps followed. Slow, confident. Then his voice. Low, smooth, with an accent I couldn't quite place. "Smells like you've been cooking again," he said casually. "But I didn't see your car." I peeked through a sliver in the panel. Mara walked into view like nothing was wrong, her voice suddenly light and cheerful. "I walked to the market. Just needed some air." He said. "That why the bedroom door was open?" I thought we agreed. "It was hot. I left it open to cool down." He was quiet a long time. Then he asked the question that made my stomach twist. "Has anyone been here?" Mara didn't blink, didn't stutter. "No, just me." He stepped closer to her. Too close. I saw the muscles in her jaw tighten as she held her smile. I don't know what kind of man Levon was, but whatever control he had over her, it was enough to make my wife. The same woman who once tore through a bar fight to defend me from a drunk, stand perfectly still and lie like it was her native language. They talked for maybe 10 minutes. About business. About flights. About someone named Petra who knew too much. I couldn't piece together half of it, but it was clear this wasn't just an affair. This was something bigger. Something organized. Something criminal. Eventually, he said he was going to shower. Mara waited until he disappeared into the hallway before walking directly toward the hidden panel. She didn't open it, but she whispered just loud enough for me to hear. "You need to leave. You can't protect me from this." I should have walked out then. I should have slipped out through the tunnel and called someone. The cops, my brother, anyone. But I didn't, because I had one more question that needed answering. I waited until he was in the shower. I could hear the water running, strong, steady, like the man himself. Mara stayed by the hidden panel, waiting for me to slip out. But I didn't move. I whispered, "How long, Mara?" She didn't turn around. "Since the second month you were gone." He found me. Said I was wasting myself in a dead marriage. I didn't believe him at first. "And now I can't get out," she said. "Not without risking everything." That should have been the end. I should have pushed open the panel, screamed, fought, or made a scene. But I didn't. Because somewhere between the betrayal and the fear, I'd already decided something. I wasn't going to expose her with rage. I was going to free myself with proof. So I slipped back into the tunnel, retraced my steps through the basement, and got into my car. I didn't go to the police. Not yet. I went straight to my friend Caden, the same guy who helped me set up home security before I left the country. I gave him the address, gave him the access code I'd memorized, showed him the stills I'd grabbed from the security cam I'd secretly connected to my old phone just before I confronted her in the hidden room. "I need one thing," I told him. "A clean copy. Time-stamped, backed up, and anonymous." In 48 hours, I had everything. The camera footage, the live stream log, a copy of the alternate passport, every file sent to an offshore server with an auto-send trigger set for one simple condition. If I didn't disable it once every 3 days, it would forward to the local authorities and 2 investigative journalists. Then I came home. Mara was waiting in the kitchen. Her eyes were red. Her hair was pulled back. She looked like someone who had finally run out of versions of herself to perform. "I didn't expect to see you again," she said quietly. "I know," I replied. "That's why I'm here." I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I told her exactly what I'd done. How she and Levon were now living on borrowed time. How I wasn't going to press charges, not if she walked away. Not if she gave up the charade and disappeared. She just stood there, frozen. Then she asked, "What do you want from me?" I shook my head. "Nothing. That's the point. You already took everything I gave you. And now I'm done giving." And I walked out. 2 weeks later, she was gone. No note. No message. Just vanished. I let her go. I let the hidden room rot behind drywall and memory. And now? I'm okay. I took Muttley. I moved into a new apartment near the lake. I go kayaking on weekends. I joined a book club. I even made a few friends who don't ask questions when I say I'm not looking to date right now. Because the truth is, for the first time in years, I feel like I'm not being lied to. Not by someone else. And not by myself.